Hey, what is going on, everybody? Jerma here with a Team Fortress 2 gameplay commentary. And tonight, we got a lot to talk about in this video. A ton of stuff is going to be in this video. Not only am I going to go over all of the Pyromania update items, I'm also going to go over all the insane changes they did to all the existing items already in play. So let's not waste any time. I'm going to get this started right now, talking about the Scout first. The Scout got two brand new items in this update. The first of which is called Babyface's Blaster, all part of, by the way, the Public Enemy set. Babyface's Blaster, 40% more accurate shots, on-hit builds boost, run it up to double speed at maximum boost, minus 30% damage done, and 35% slower movement speed on wearer, and if you jump, it resets the boost. Now, how this weapon works, it's actually pretty cool. As you shoot people, it takes about 3 or 4 good meat shots on somebody to fill the whole boost meter. The meter doesn't start draining. It's not a thing you have to fill like a rage meter, and it goes down. As you build the boost meter, you're going to run a little bit faster. And when you get to about half boost, that's about the default speed of a normal scout. When you get to over that, you start running like you have speed hacks. It is ridiculous. As you can see on the screen here, you go 1,000 miles per hour. You're going so fast, and it's so accurate, that planning meat shots on somebody when you're going 180, 190% movement speed is very hard. And of course, jumping, you're going to bring that back all the way to minus 35% movement speed. No matter if you jump once, if you jump twice, anytime you're in the air, it is going to bring that down to minus 35%. And that is a spy buff, by the way. This item is a spy buff, because now you can never know if a spy scout is actually a spy, because he might be using this weapon. All in all, though, this weapon's going to be amazing on 5 CP maps. You're going to be able to run from one end of the map to the other in 5 seconds. So, moving on to the second Scout unlockable, the Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol. It is, of course, a pistol, secondary, plus 15% max health on wearer. Wearer never takes falling damage, and minus 25% slower firing speed, and you take 50% more fire damage. So this weapon, as of right now, is pretty difficult to use. Of course, because the Meet the Pyro and all the Pyro stuff that just came out, everybody's a damn Pyro. Wearing this right now is not really recommended, but in the long run, I could see this thing being very, very useful. Now, you're not going to get as much health as putting on the Milkman set, but it's only 10 less, and plus you're not going to take any falling damage. So I think this is the answer to, if you want the Milkman set health bonus, but you don't want to put on the short stomp, or you don't want to put on the Mad Milk or the Fish or something like that, I think this is the alternative. So, sticking with the Scout, we're going to talk about some of the current item changes. The Criticola now has a 25% increased movement speed while active, and instead of 6 seconds, it is now 8 seconds. The Bonk Atomic Punch is now 8 seconds rather than 6 seconds. Both of those items got a massive buff in this update. So let's move right down the line here. Moving on to the Soldier. We're going to talk about his item changes and his brand new toy, the Beggar's Bazooka. This is my favorite item in this update. I love this rocket launcher. Here is what it does. First of all, it starts with 0 rockets in the clip. And as you hold the fire button down, it can load up to 3 rockets to shoot. When you release it, no matter if there's 1 rocket in there, 2 rockets, or 3 rockets, they are all going to come out at the same time. Now, the big downside with this weapon is, of course, the projectile deviation, and you can't collect ammo from dispensers. I'll talk about the overloading the chamber thing in a second. But the 3 degrees deviation actually can be a pain in the butt. Especially when you overload it and you launch out 3 rockets at the same time. They kind of go in different directions, and it's hard to aim them. But if you turn a corner, you're going to see a couple of different times in this little soldier gameplay I got. I turn a corner and unleash 3 rockets and slaughter everybody that's in that hallway. Especially if you have crits or you have the buff banner. Another downside of this thing, though, is if you load up more than 3 rockets, if you go 1, 2, 3, it's going to explode and you're going to take a lot of damage. So as long as you have a little bit of self-control and you don't allow that to happen, this thing is very, very deadly. Moving right along here, we're going to talk about the Soldier's old items and some of the buffs they gave him. First of all, the Equalizer. The Equalizer is no longer one entity. They split it up into 2. There is now the equalizer and the escape plan. One of them is just movement speed, and the other one is just damage increase. You have to actually pick now. I'm so glad they made this change, because nobody ever took the equalizer off, for really any reason. Another huge change they made for the soldier is the Conqueror. Remember the Conqueror, the shell? When was the last time you equipped that thing? Well, now you're going to put it on, because they buffed it. So now, instead of doing damage and taking damage to fill it, now you only have to do damage, just like the buff banner. And they increase the rate at which you charge this thing by 25%. And that makes me happy, because now I'm probably going to put this thing on and give it a go every now and then. So that's going to wrap up the Soldier. Let's talk about the Pyro now. The Pyromania update, which was named for the Pyro, and of course Meet the Pyro, which was hysterical. And if you've seen Meet the Pyro, then you know where this next set of items comes from. None of these things have stats. None of these things are increased damage or do a certain thing to your character or something. They are just reskins. All of these new rainbow items are just reskins, which is a little disappointing, but at the same time, it's all for this Pyroland mode. Now, Pyroland, what is Pyroland? Essentially, whenever you equip one of these new goofy, weird items, it's going to change the way Team Fortress looks for you. You want to talk about an art style change? It throws up rainbows into your face. I can't even look at this for more than 5 minutes. It's like ridiculous to me. The only way you can see this, and the only way you're going to be able to use these items, is if you are in Pyroland. And again, how you get into Pyroland, you just equip one of these items, or you put on the free goggles that are going to be given to anybody that logs into Team Fortress before July 5th. So that's how you see this, and like I said, kind of disappointing. I wish they did a little more with these items. Maybe give the Pyro some more stuff, some more things to play with, because he only really got this one real item that unfortunately is probably the worst in the update. It's actually ironic that the Pyro update, he gets one item, and it's pretty underpowered. So the Scorch Shot, what it does, Flare knocks back target on hit, and ignites enemies in a small radius. You can shoot the ground with this thing. I need to clearly explain that. If you shoot the ground just like a rocket, it will light anybody that's on fire near where you shot it. The major downside, of course, is the minus 50% damage penalty on this thing. And it cannot crit. It doesn't mini crit, it doesn't full crit. It's just going to do 15 damage and afterburn to anybody that's in that area. That's really unfortunate. If this mini crit or this crit, it would have been a great item. But as of right now, the detonator essentially does the exact same thing as this minus the knockback, and it can mini crit. So until they potentially buff this item, it's very underpowered. I mean, it has its uses though. You can knock people off a cart, you can shoot somebody off a point, but not being able to ignite somebody and then mini crit them or crit them, especially with the amount of damage this thing does, it's, like I said, very underpowered. Transitioning now to talk about the old Pyro Flamethrowers and what they have done in this update. The number one thing you gotta know, they increased all Flamethrowers' base damage by 10%. All of them, across the board. And then they went ahead and did this. They removed the plus 10% damage on the back burner. So now it's just base plus 10%, not plus 20%, because that's what it would have been. And they did minus 10% on the degreaser. So they kind of leveled the playing field across all the flamethrowers, which is great, because the stock flamethrower was a little underwhelming, and it's good to see that they decided to do this. And now, it doesn't matter if you use the degreaser, or the backburner, or the phlogistinator, and speaking of the phlogistinator, they nerfed the phlogistinator again. So what they did is they took the defense taunt damage reduction down from 90% to 75%. It kind of stops them from being invincible when they do that taunt. Now I want to go to some heavy news and some heavy changes that they did. And no, the heavy did not get any new items in this update, but they did change a lot of stuff for him, and they did a massive change to not only the Gloves of Running Urgently, but the Tomislav. So first, let's talk about the Gloves of Running Urgently. It is completely reworked. There is no more self-damage penalty, so when you take them out, you don't take 6. They took that, it's gone. Now what happens is when you pull out the Gloves of Running Urgently, you're going to take mini-crits while they're active, and for 3 seconds after switching them. They also took the 50% damage penalty down to 25%. That's a massive change. They really reworked that entire item. So talking about more changes to the heavy, the Tomislav used to have plus 40% faster spin-up time on that minigun. Now it's only plus 10%. So the difference between this and the default now really isn't that much. I guess the only difference now is the silent spin down and the 20% less bullets that come out of the Tomislav. Pretty balanced across the board with miniguns at this point. I would say the Brass Beast needs a buff, but that's just my opinion. So, moving on to the Demoman and the Engineer, and they didn't get anything. And they didn't get anything changed either, which makes me really sad, because I love the Engineer, he's my favorite class. Anyways, moving on to the Medic. All you Quick Fix users are going to be really happy about this one. The Quick Fix has been changed. No, they didn't add any healing. No, they didn't add any overheal or ubercharge or anything like that. You can now rocket jump with the Quick Fix. That's right. The Quick Fix now allows you to rocket jump or sticky jump with whoever you are healing with the beam. It is insane. And that is the best thing they possibly could have done to the Quick Fix. I'm going to use that so much more often now. Just jumping around maps with my Soldier and Demoman buddies, it's going to be so much fun. And speaking of things the Medic has that have deserved buffs for a million years, the Crusader's Crossbow has finally received a buff. I know, am I dreaming? I can't believe I'm actually saying this. The reload speed time has been reduced by 40%. Instead of pulling it out and going, now it's going to actually be like, bang, ready to shoot, bang, ready to shoot. And I wish it happened off-screen just like the flare gun, but I'm not going to complain because any buff to the Crusader's Crossbow is a good buff. So finally, closing it out with the Sniper, the Spy did not get any new items, and he did not get any changes. So this is going to end the video here with the Sniper. The Hitman's Heatmaker, the new sniper rifle. And to stop from confusing anybody, the text is actually pretty weird and misleading, so I'm not going to read it out loud. I'm going to just tell you exactly how this thing works. On the lower right, you're going to see something called Focus. Every time you kill somebody or get an assist, you're going to fill that meter by a little bit. Once that meter is full, when you shoot your sniper rifle, doesn't matter if it's a no-scope or if it is zoomed in, you are going to activate the focus. And what this does is actually really, really awesome. It allows you to stay zoomed in without having to click, pull back, and reload your sniper rifle after every shot. You're also going to get 25% faster charging time for the whole duration of the focus. Now, the reason why the text is a little misleading is you can unscope from this if you want. You don't have to stay scoped in. If you feel like taking the scope off, you can right-click and get right out of it. See, I didn't think that at first. I didn't know that at first, so I didn't even try it. But no, you are not forced to stay scoped in while you are in focus. So moving on to the Cleaner's Carbine, this is the new SMG, which is exciting enough, because we haven't seen a new SMG since 2007, talking about the default stock one, of course. So this on kill, 3 seconds of 100% critical chance, minus 20% clip size, and a 35% slower firing speed. And no random critical hits because you can get them by killing people. This is just like the killing gloves of boxing for the sniper. And it's awesome because you can use these crits for any of your weapons. So if you pick somebody off with this thing, turn around, whip out the kukri, and crit smash somebody in the face, it is incredibly satisfying and it is fantastic. And just like the killing gloves of boxing, you can loop the crits. So if I keep killing people over and over again with this SMG, I'm never going to get out of crit mode. It's amazing. So now that we talked about the new stuff, let's bring up the old stuff. There's only one thing they changed in this update for the sniper, and that is the Cozy Camper. The Cozy Camper now regenerates 1 health every second while you wear it, and they took the speed decrease down from 90% to 80%. Effectively, they made the sniper the only other self-healing class besides the medic, which is crazy. And all these changes, all the things they did, is just mind-blowing. When I read these notes, when I saw these things in action, I couldn't even believe it, guys. I was like, wow, they changed more items than they added new ones in this update. Like, really? So I had to talk about it. I had to cover this. And this is a 15-minute video. And I apologize. I wanted to get this all crammed into one video. And the Doomsday Game Mode, I'll probably be doing a separate video to talk about that. And it should be here in the next couple of days, within the next day or two. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And of course, I'll see you guys all next time. Go have fun with this update. There's a lot of crazy stuff to try. So I'll see you guys all soon, and take care, everybody.